Good afternoon. Welcome to the News Roundup for Tuesday, September 9, 2025. I'm your host, Bill Thomas. We have some urgent stories to share with you today, and here's what's happening right now on the big Roundup. We begin with this: Israel launching a deadly airstrike which targets Hamas negotiators in Qatar. The government of China taking advantage of American technology for their brutal crackdown on human rights, and a U.S. company agreeing to a massive $500 million deal to mine for critical minerals in Pakistan. Also, troubling test scores for our nation's high school students, and an 85-year-old movie making an incredible comeback at the box office. We'll tell you why thousands of people are forking out $200 apiece for the chance to head somewhere over the rainbow for the umpteenth time. Yeah, all this and much more coming up right now on the Big Roundup. We have so much to get to today, and we begin with Israel launching a deadly military strike against the political leadership of Hamas in Qatar. That attack now threatening to undermine security throughout the entire Middle East. The strike taking place on a residential building complex in the capital city of Doha, as the last remaining high-level members of Hamas were in the process of gathering there to consider whether or not to accept a U.S.-brokered ceasefire proposal to end the raging war in the Gaza Strip. Hamas now claiming that their top leaders actually survived the attack. However, they're confirming that the strike did indeed kill 5 lower-level members of the terror group, including the son of their top negotiator. For their part, Qatar has been playing a pivotal role as a crucial mediator in the ongoing negotiations between Israel and Hamas, and they're also a key regional ally of the U.S. They're now severely condemning the attack, calling it cowardly and a flagrant violation of all international laws. A number of world leaders also denouncing the strike, warning that it threatens to completely derail the rapidly fading remnants of any possible peace negotiations. The White House now chiming in as well, saying Israel gave advance notice to the U.S. that the attack was imminent. They also say that President Trump believes the strike was an unfortunate incident, which does not in any way advance peace efforts in the region. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is taking full responsibility for the decision to carry out the strike using precision weapons. Says he gave the go-ahead following yesterday's deadly attacks, which left 10 Israelis dead, including 6 people who were killed in a terrorist attack at a Jerusalem bus stop. In the meantime, Israel now warning all of Gaza City's nearly 1 million residents to evacuate immediately as the Israeli military ramps up their offensive to take the last remaining Hamas stronghold. And they say they've already destroyed at least 50 high-rise buildings over the past couple of days alone, and that they're just getting started. Final thought, and this is the News Roundup Lowdown. If there was ever any doubt with regard to just how serious Israel is concerning the return of hostages held by Hamas, this should clear everything up. Israel has been abundantly clear that the war in Gaza can only come to a conclusion when Hamas terrorists unconditionally return all hostages to Israel. Following that, a ceasefire, peace talks, and then, in theory, an end to a nearly 2-year-long deadly and destructive battle. Israel is so committed to their mission that they've taken this war roughly 1,100 miles away to Qatar on the Arabian Peninsula, where they've found, targeted, and killed additional Hamas leadership. Now, some will argue that this attack will stall ceasefire talks, while others are convinced it will serve as a wake-up call to Hamas terrorists. In the end, Israel will exhaust every avenue and leave no stone unturned as a means to an end to ensure that all of their hostages are, in fact, returned home. Also, you'd do well to remember that this mission happened shortly after yesterday's shooting attack in Jerusalem that killed 6 people, as well as an attack on Israeli forces in Gaza that killed 4 soldiers. With that, we welcome back to the program, as we do each and every weekday afternoon, producer Davey. And Davey, in my estimation, this takes the war, which Hamas originally initiated against Israel, to an entirely new level. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah, I think we can say goodbye to any potential peace deal, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And by all means, drop us a note with your thoughts. We're at newsroundupwithbill@gmail.com. And Davey, over to the email bag, and what is on the minds of our friends this afternoon?
Okay, Bill, as you could imagine, it's a very hot-button topic. So let's start off today with Leon, who's writing to us from West Los Angeles, California. LA's West Side.
Leon, welcome to the program. Go right ahead.
And Leon says, Hamas had it coming. If you don't want to be targeted, don't commit terrorist acts.
Yeah. A lot of folks kind of lose sight of how this all panned out. It was Hamas who attacked Israel almost 2 years ago. The fight continues. Hamas simply has to return those hostages back to Israel. And the war doesn't end in a heartbeat, but it comes to a conclusion much more rapidly. That is the big holding point right now. I appreciate you checking in. And Davey, who's up next?
Okay, Bill, here's a different point of view from April, who's writing to us today from Paterson, New Jersey.
Hi, April. What's on your mind?
April says Israel has gone far beyond the right to defend itself and is now committing war atrocities. The whole world agrees. Enough is enough. Netanyahu, the war criminal, must go.
Hamas must go. And this happens from time to time. People start blaming Benjamin Netanyahu as the representative for Israel. No, he's fighting the good fight, fighting on behalf of all Israelis. Taking this fight to Qatar, it's another step, but Hamas clearly is in Qatar. Qatar, by the way, is a U.S. ally, and for them to call this a cowardly Israeli attack, that's to ignore the murder, the mayhem, the destruction brought to bear by Hamas. Additionally, Qatar, as a U.S. ally, that they should stand in defense of Hamas terrorists in their country, that is entirely inexcusable. This war started because of Hamas. They invaded Israel. Israel is doing nothing more than fighting back and fighting strong. All right, we'll change things up just a bit now. Turn our attention to a disturbing story which deals with an oppressive foreign regime that's relying on American technology to spy on and oppress millions of their citizens. A new report now revealing that a number of U.S.-based tech companies directly responsible for selling billions of dollars worth of state-of-the-art equipment to China, thus allowing the communist regime to weave together their highly repressive surveillance apparatus. According to a new investigation, a large number of Chinese police organizations, government agencies, and security companies, they've all taken advantage of these purchases, all to persecute religious minorities, target dissidents, and participate in human rights abuses. The report says that our nation's technologies have inadvertently aided the Chinese by allowing them to mine information, analyze data, and then use what they learn to rapidly crack down on a number of what they call highly suspicious groups. In particular, the report points to China's use of American technology and their brutal campaign to target and subdue the entire minority Uyghur population in the far west region of China. The investigation also reveals that a prominent Chinese defense contractor worked directly with IBM to create China's Golden Shield police system, which allows Beijing to censor the internet, target alleged terrorist groups, and even persecute innocent religious groups like the Falun Gong spiritual movement. The surveillance system, which has been constructed using American technology, it allows China to track any blacklisted individuals, monitor their movements, as well as restrict them whenever they feel it's necessary. According to the report, some of these AI-based technologies even allow the Chinese government to specifically target people according to their race. In the meantime, a growing number of American government officials and security experts now sounding the alarm and urging our nation to greatly restrict the sale of any cutting-edge technology to China. However, many of these same people think the cat's pretty much already out the bag, and that by using what they learned from the U.S., China is now a surveillance superpower in their own right. Final thought, this is the News Roundup Lowdown. If there was ever a doubt in your mind regarding the stronghold that the CCP has on its population, it's all very well spelled out right here in black and white and red. For some individuals and groups, every move, every phone call, every activity can be closely monitored, scrutinized, analyzed, and met with consequences, some of which can be terribly severe. Sadly, the means by which authorities in China are using high tech to keep a close watch on whomever they choose has been developed, manufactured, and in fact sold to that country by U.S.-based organizations, and they're clearly profiting at the expense of China's innocent civilian population. A variety of violations which the CCP is inflicting upon their countrymen right now is vile, oppressive, oftentimes inhumane, and that American companies are profiting from all this, it's just utterly tragic. Now, a note to American high-tech companies. Growing profits, raising stock prices, increasing dividend payments, lofty and attainable goals. Enhancing brand reputation, growing market share, also critical to success. Trumping, however, each of these things is something called ethical responsibility. And for far too many U.S.-based companies, it feels like you've sold your corporate soul and all for profits. Now, your thoughts and comments always encouraged, and we're at newsroundupwithbill@gmail.com. That's the way I see it, Davey. Other folks might not see it the same way, but let's see what people are talking about. To the email bag we go, and who do we go to first?
Okay, Bill. First up, we have Diamond, who's writing to us from Highland Park, Illinois.
Hello, Diamond. What do you think?
Diamond says, this alarming story is further proof that China is a criminal communist regime that will stop at nothing. If they're using this technology against their own people, what makes you think they're not using it against us as well?
Yeah, and I said this several weeks ago on this program, NVIDIA selling the H20 chips to China. I think it's a bad idea. It's bad business. They shouldn't be doing it, and I don't think the government should allow them to do it. The more technology they get, they're pretty much going to hamstring us. And actually, I think NVIDIA and the other companies that are selling technology to China, they're hamstringing the entire U.S. population. It's just bad business. I know they might make a lot of money on it, but we can sell those chips to virtually anybody else. Hey, David, who's up next?
Okay, Bill, here's Mark writing to us from Fort Hays, Kansas.
What you got for us, Mark?
Mark says we should immediately cut off all relations with China and send all of their students packing. We're digging our own grave and we have to wake up before it's too late.
Well, it might be a bit severe. We can't sever all ties with China. China does a great deal of trade with the U.S. We do a great deal of trade with them as well. We can't be friendly all the time, but we have trade deals, and we need to stick by them. We need to stand by China for what we need. They need to stand by us for what they need. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. We can't be an isolationist and sever all ties. That said, the high-tech companies here in the States, they're already making tons of dough, Davey, right here at home and abroad. But again, NVIDIA as an example, and there are other companies selling all that technology to China, either to businesses there or to the government. It kind of feels like you're throwing your own country under the bus. It sort of feels like treason. Think about it. Think long and hard before you empower China. Switch things up just a bit now, taking a look at an enormous $500 million international deal, which could directly impact our nation's security, and it's coming about as a direct result of President Trump's efforts to absolutely make America great again. A Missouri-based critical minerals firm now agreeing to invest $500 million in Pakistan's top mining company in a groundbreaking agreement which will give the U.S. organization access to a large number of highly sought-after rare earth minerals. We need those things. The massive collaboration involves a mining company called U.S. Strategic Metals and Pakistan's Frontier Works organization, and the deal calls for the new partners to immediately begin working together on a number of large-scale mining projects, including the construction of a massive new refinery complex in Pakistan. Now, as part of the agreement, the Pakistani company will also promptly begin exporting a large amount of gold, copper, and other crucial rare earth minerals to the U.S. The deal marks another significant triumph for the Trump administration, which recently negotiated a substantial trade agreement with the Pakistani government that's aimed at firming up the political ties between the two nations, as well as encouraging American investment in the South Asian country. So, Pakistan's prime minister says that right now his country is holding mineral reserves which are worth trillions of dollars. He believes that foreign investment in his nation's mineral sector could eventually lead his country to financial solvency. And final thought, this is the News Roundup Lowdown, the way we see it. For now, the U.S. does, in fact, rely heavily on China for critical minerals and rare earth elements. But this new deal, it could be an epic game changer. We don't want to rely on China. This is just good business. First, a U.S.-based organization has taken big deals away from China as they strike a new agreement with Pakistan. U.S. jobs are created, Pakistan's economy will benefit greatly, and reliance on China for precious resources will be enormously diminished. In other words, China, there goes your monopoly. Additionally, and this is something we've talked about on this program in the past, we can mine for our own rare earth elements right here in the U.S. And one mine already operational near the California-Nevada border called the Mountain Pass Mine. Also, Ramaco's Brook Mine in Wyoming, which I believe is in Sheridan County. I'll have to double check that. Pretty sure it's Sheridan County. Another U.S. source for mining rare earth minerals. And there will be more of these mines popping up all over the country. Geologists, come on now, get to work. Hey, bottom line, the less we have to rely on China for rare earth elements, the better off we are. The U.S. and China, significant trading partners. And we both need one another. We were just talking about that. But with each passing day, we're learning more that China does not and cannot have a monopoly on absolutely anything which is critical to the safety and the success of the USA. Your thoughts and comments, questions as well on the big $500 million deal with Pakistan. Chime in via email, and we're at newsroundupwithbill@gmail.com. Davey, to the email bag, what are folks saying?
Okay, Bill, before we hit the bag, we should point out that those rare earth minerals are vital to a whole bunch of electronics, fighter jets, high-tech stuff that is for our defense industry. So they're very important, really important stuff.
Yep, good point.
Now we head to the mailbag, and we start with Uncle Steve, who's writing to us from Augusta, Maine.
Uncle Steve, the avuncular one. What's on your mind, sir? State your business.
And he says, another tremendous success for the great one. He's opening the doors for American businesses all over the globe, including here in the good old USA. MAGA forever.
Hey, look, nobody loses in this deal. This is absolutely amazing. It's a job creator here in the U.S. The U.S. and Pakistan both win, and if anybody is on the losing end of this deal, hey, it's clearly China. And so, you know, Pakistan, they're not a formal military ally of the U.S., but they have been what's referred to as a major non-NATO ally since 2004. Better we do business with them than with China, especially for these very rare elements. Now, some additional headlines we are keeping a close watch on in the News Roundup newsroom. Here's what you need to know. A Russian precision-guided glide bomb killing 24 people and injuring 19 more in eastern Ukraine as the victims were waiting in line to collect their pension checks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling the attack brutal and urging the entire world to respond by taking strong action against Russia. Now, the math and reading test scores of American high school seniors dropping to their lowest levels in more than 20 years. Education officials saying that screen time, shorter attention spans, and a decline in long-form reading, they're all contributing factors. And federal agents now raiding a large number of Home Depot locations nationwide as they ramp up their immigration enforcement operations throughout the entire U.S. Continuing now, we'll switch things up just a bit and take a quick peek at several developing stories which are making headlines today in the world of business. First off, Chinese auto giant GAC aiming to break into the European market and in a gigantic way by substantially increasing their electric vehicle sales in the continent by 17 times their current number. They hope to do that in the next couple of years. In the meantime, U.S. automaker Ford, not Ford again. Yeah, another recall, 1.5 million vehicles this time due to an issue with their rear view cameras. A growing number of Americans now increasingly worried about finding a new job if they lose their current positions. That report coming from the Federal Reserve of New York, which claims the number of people who believe they'd be able to find a new gig are now at an all-time low. And industry giant U.S. Steel announcing plans to shut down one of their production facilities in Illinois. However, the 800 workers at the plant, they all get to keep their jobs at least for another couple of years, thanks to President Trump's trailblazing agreement with the company's new parent organization called Nippon Steel. And now, time once again for the lighter side of news, where we take an entertaining look at a few intriguing stories guaranteed to either tickle your funny bone or make you weep like there's no tomorrow, but mostly the former, we hope. Kick things off today by taking a look at a jaw-dropping new trend that concerns a number of mid-rate hotel chains, one of their popular free perks, and a whole bunch of shameless freeloaders. Apparently, a growing number of people now say that one of their favorite things to do, especially when they're hungry, stop by their nearest middle-budget hotel, chow down on the establishment's free breakfast buffet without ever booking a room. It's free to people who stay, not for you. They say that many places like the Holiday Inn, the Hampton Inn, Days Inn as well, they serve these kind of free breakfasts. They also say that all you have to do is walk in off the street, cross the empty lobby, pick up a plate, David, make sure you're taking notes on this, and begin piling it sky high with a mountain of freshly scrambled eggs and greasy sausage and buttery flapjacks, and get away with a free meal. The culprits also say if you're ever caught, you can just say you were simply waiting for your spouse to join you, and as long as you don't look like you're a completely homeless individual, you'll have no problems getting away with it. You'll get right by their security just like that. Now, look, I'm not much on traveling, and I don't really enjoy staying at hotels. But if there's a free breakfast involved, I'll make the trek to any corner of the planet. I won't stay in the presidential junior suite. Instead, I'll just hang out in front of the building till breakfast time, then dine in, dash out, come back the next day. Davey, I think it's the perfect crime. And if I get caught, I'll simply tell hotel managers that I was doing product research. I was thinking of booking a room, but first I needed to sample the grub. I mean, if it's free, I'm in. Can I get away with that, Davey?
I don't know if you can get away with it, but it's a pretty innovative method, Bill.
It's certainly worth trying, man. All right, so the breakfast may be mildly low cost, but certain other things in life you got to pay for. And to my understanding, I don't go to movies much, but apparently Davey is saying movie ticket prices, they're on the rise. Davey, yes?
Well, not across the board, Bill, but in certain places for sure.
Okay, we'll gaze into our crystal ball now and take a look at a beloved 85-year-old motion picture classic promoting thousands of fans to fork out $200 a pop simply for a chance to experience the Emerald City in a completely unique way. Hundreds of thousands of people eagerly paying the humongous tab to see The Wizard of Oz on a gigantic 160,000 square foot screen at a venue called the Sphere in Las Vegas. I've got a bigger screen than that, Davey, in the den at my house. Experts say the popularity of Dorothy, Toto, the Scarecrow, and all the rest could actually add up to $500 million in profit for the revolutionary Sphere next year alone, leading the giant theater to consider showing other Hollywood blockbusters like Star Wars and Harry Potter on their enormous big screen, their Jumbotron. However, we should point out that reconfiguring a movie classic to fit the theater's humongous dimensions, it doesn't come cheap. According to experts, the cost for the organization to update The Wizard of Oz, the movie, for their venue, a staggering $100 million, which, by the way, a lot more than it cost to actually make the film in the first place. So 200 clams to see a movie sounds a pinch on the high side. Davey is kind of curious as to whether or not popcorn and soft drinks are included. Do you get popcorn and soft drinks, milk duds, hot dogs, pizza,
I'm sure you can
chairs?
get them there, Bill, but I think you probably have to pay, Vegas prices for them.
Yeah, $200 for a ticket. You got to get some free grub. Also, and I'm not complaining, but look, if you're paying 200 simoleons to see a picture show, could they maybe make it a recent movie? I mean, it's an awful lot to pay for a show that came out 85 years ago, Davey, yes?
Well, Bill, it's The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's $200. You know, for 200 cash, I'd like to at least see a talkie. I'm not a big Mary Pickford fan, Davey. Give me something new and current, something fresh. Now then, just in time for one more story. Just that much left time, Davey. So let's beef things up. And what's the next item on the lighter side of news? Mile-wide menu. What do you got?
Well, Bill, it wouldn't be a complete day here without a story about our favorite restaurant, the Golden Arches.
I know the one. Yeah, the Golden Arches. All right, finally today, a legendary fast food chain taking a daring step by introducing a healthier option to their iconic menu. Davey, I don't think people go to McDonald's for healthy options, but this is what they're pushing. Something healthy? I have no idea what this is. Apparently, McDonald's will soon be adding a vegetarian option to their list of burgers, and they're calling this one the monstrosity. They're calling it the McVeggie. Did I say that right? The veggie burger at McDonald's?
That's correct, Bill. It sounds delicious.
I don't even know what sacrosanct means, but that sounds sacrosanct, yes?
I don't know if it's sacrosanct. It would be sacrosanct if they were, to only stick with, beef burgers.
Look, this burger apparently is a breaded patty of some sort, a mixture of soybeans and peas and other assorted vegetables, some cardboard as well, all topped with lettuce, and the whole thing is served up on a toasted sesame seed bun, just like the Big Mac bun, by the way. McDonald's says they're introducing the new vegan sandwich or vegetarian sandwich because their customers asked them for it. No, they didn't. And they're even offering a spicy version of the burger that comes with a tangy, I hope I say this right, Davey, habanero pepper sauce. Did I say that?
I believe it's habanero, Bill.
Habanero. Unfortunately, if you live in the U.S., you might have to wait a while to try one. For now, the Golden Arches is only planning to add the McVeggie to all their restaurants located throughout Canada and nowhere else. Good. They can have it. In the words of Clara Peller from the 1984 Wendy's TV commercial, "Where's the beef?" McDonald's serves up a wide variety of menu items: hamburgers and cheeseburgers, double burgers, Big Macs, quarter pounders with cheese, and of course, Davey's favorite, the legendary double quarter pounder with cheese. Now, producer Davey, I won't give it away, but all these sandwiches have exactly one thing in common. You know what that one thing is by chance?
Would that be beef, Bill?
Beef. It's what's for dinner. It's what McDonald's does. Come on, Davey, a veggie sandwich at the Arches. Hey, the fate of the McVeggie burger will suffer the same fate as previous less than desirable McD's menu items: McLobster, McPizza, McSpaghetti, and McHotDog. They're all going to end up in the McTrash bin. So, look, McDonald's, do me a favor, stick to burgers, even chicken sandwiches or chicken nuggets. The Arches ain't broke. Quit trying to fix them. I don't want no veggie burger, Davey. And that is a look at the lighter side of news. And what say you? Thoughts or comments? You are our lifeblood. Drop us an email. We're at newsroundupwithbill@gmail.com. Davey, to the email bag we go. Unwrap it. Open it up. And who are we talking to first?
Okay, Bill. Here's one that is coming in from somebody who says they're quote unquote anonymous.
Okay, I would be too, because they're going to talk about that veggie burger, aren't they?
Well, they're talking about the buffet, and
okay.
And normally we would not encourage people to write in anonymously, but in this case, we'll read it.
Okay.
And this anonymous person says, "I am a law enforcement professional."
Okay.
And you know what we call those buffet freeloaders?
What do we call them?
Thieves.
Yeah.
I say lock them up and throw away the key.
Yeah, there's always someone looking for an angle, and I would imagine hotel security. These mid-range hotels, I don't imagine they have great security, but you got to watch people, and you should make them show their room ID card before you allow them to mosey up to the breakfast buffet, and that's just going to make it more expensive for all the other paying customers because we got to pay their way for the thieves. He's absolutely right. Lock them up. All right, David, who's up next?
Okay, here's one from Wendy in Tampa, Florida.
Hi, Wendy. What's on your mind?
And Wendy says, "Hi, Bill. I'm a huge fan, and I never miss a show."
Beautiful. That's it?
How much would you spend to see the Brady Bunch at the Sphere?
There is no price too large for a Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch actually has a couple of very good movies. The Brady Bunch movie and the second Brady Bunch movie, those were both great. Although I don't recall, and Davey, refresh my memory, were any of the cast members, did they make cameos in the Brady Bunch movies?
That was a long time ago, Bill, but I don't recall if they made cameos or not.
Yeah, maybe if it was a Brady weekend, some of the Brady episodes, the original episodes, some of the variety shows, some singing, some dancing, one or two of the motion pictures. Absolutely. Very Brady Christmas, a very Brady marriage, and all the rest. Yeah, maybe a weekend of Brady stuff on the big Jumbotron. That sounds like money well spent. All right, one more, and we got to wrap it up.
Okay, Bill. Here's somebody who agrees with you about the McDonald's menu items.
Yeah,
Carl in Raleigh, North Carolina.
You don't make veggie sandwiches at McDonald's. Go ahead. What's he say?
Yeah, he says, "The idea of a McVeggie makes me want a McBarf. And it's another sign our country is heading for the dumpster."
Yeah. Listen, you wouldn't go to Taco Bell and get the vegetarian burrito. No, it's what they do. Beans and beef and cheese. And I think some of the places, some of the Mexican restaurants serve pork as well and everything else and chicken. You don't go to McDonald's for a veggie sandwich. Try it in Canada. I think it's going to last about 6 weeks and then get down to business. Keep doling out the Big Macs, the Quarter Pounders, the cheeseburgers, the McDLTs, if they still make those, the chicken sandwiches, and all the rest. No veggie sandwiches at the Golden Arches, please. And now time for us to call it a wrap on the Tantalizing Tuesday edition of our Big News Roundup. Hey, before we go, and as we do each and every day here on the program, we share with you a very notable quote. And these words of wisdom come to us today from the late, great John Madden, who said, "Self-praise is for losers. Be a winner. Stand for something. Always have class. Always be humble." And Madden was a legendary American football coach and TV announcer for the NFL, also known for the National Football League, also known for his best-selling video game, as well as for making it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. And now time for us to bust on out of here. But before we call it a day, don't forget the News Roundup motto. Please, it means a great deal to us. Ask not what your podcast can do for you. Ask what you can do for your podcast. For example, simply subscribe to the program so you never miss a single episode. Also, for now, it does look like for this episode, our time is officially up. So have an awesome day today. Please stay safe. Let's all continue to watch out for one another. And we turn to Engineer Henry, that guy on my left, and ask him to gently dim the lights. Let's fade to black, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow afternoon.